Welcome back, everyone. I'm Jason and you're watching Jason Jensen Trains. We have such a busy show today. We're going to be building a small diorama over at the workbench, and then when it's finished, we're going to be placing it over here on the layout. Now, while we're working on that, we're going to be removing all of the structures against the back wall so that we can cut some styrofoam. We're going to be cutting styrofoam to fit the opening of the closet, and then we'll cut our styrofoam to fit on the bottom section of the layout there. And all of that's in preparation of laying track on the layout. All right, well, before we get started today, please take a moment and subscribe to the channel. Well, like always, we have a lot to do today, so let's get to it. All right, so I've got everything moved from that back section, and you can see it's all over here. What a mess. Now, I'm trying to plan ahead for when I do put that back together, because we're gonna have a raised track. And it's just a dog bone loop. It just goes over and loops on this side and goes back. But I've decided from the top of the rail down to the base of the styrofoam here, it will be 7 inches tall. So I need to make sure that it's 7 inches evenly all around the layout. Now, the good news about coming up with that measurement of 7 inches is I came over here and I measured our little shelf here in the corner, and it measures 9 inches tall. So this actually gets lowered. So when I put this back together, I'll need to lower that and put that in there permanently. And then with our wood trestles that get put back, those will all be adjusted so that the top of the rail is 7 inches from the base of the styrofoam to the top of the rail. Now, the reason I say that lowering that corner down to 7 inches is good news, because this road goes through here and then gradually goes uphill to the corner where that yellow truck is up there. So by lowering that 2 inches, it's not quite as steep. It's still a pretty good incline, but it's not as bad. And then we'll get our styrofoam all carved so that road goes right up in front of those buildings right there. You know, filming this, I'm really getting excited about getting styrofoam cut and glued in place permanently so that we can start doing scenery work and getting stuff set permanently in place. It's very exciting. So clearing all this off and getting the styrofoam put in there, I feel like I've opened a can of worms, because it makes me want to work on this corner and get that shelf put in there permanently. So that's what we're going to work on next. So nice having this removable. All right, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut styrofoam and build, it'll be like walls, and I'll build a triangle that shelf sits on securely, and I'll glue it all in with liquid nails. All right. right, well, ignore the mess behind me. We are going to cut styrofoam, and I'm cutting it in strips of 5 inches wide because the styrofoam is 2 inches, so that'll give me a total of 7 inches. So I'm gonna cut extra because we have 2 other corners that get shelves put in it. There's other areas that we're gonna need to build up. We're left with a strip that's a little thinner, but that's okay. We can use it for something. Well, as you know, one project leads to another, and I thought while I'm cutting styrofoam, I would fill in this corner like I originally wanted to. So I've cut some wedges so our road will go right through here and circle around. Now, for some interest, we're going to put in a sidewalk that's a little bit lower. So I'll probably have like a concrete ramp that comes down, then the sidewalk runs along here, and then goes up again up to this level. And then, like I said, our street is through here. So I'll get all this glued in place, and then I'm actually considering putting in our stone retaining wall that goes all the way around this section. So we'll have to move these out of the way. All right, here are the stone retaining walls. These have been sitting outside in the sun all day drying. So I'm getting all of my stone walls cut to the correct height, and then we'll get those all glued in with liquid nails. Now this section here, I'm covering it with pink styrofoam that I cut on my Proxxon hot wire cutter. And it's maybe close to 1/8 of an inch thick. So we'll cover this. My plan is to make it look like at one time that stone wall went all the way around this, and then they built this separately, and it's all concrete. And I'm using the pink styrofoam because I'll take this over the workbench and carve all of the expansion joint lines in it. I'll make cracks, make it look like real concrete, and then I'll paint it and then glue it in place. I think this pink styrofoam is just the perfect texture for HO scale concrete. Now on the bottom panels here, we'll probably put some crud at the bottom, and maybe we'll stain it with to make it look like it has different like the water has raised and lowered and stained the walls. So I've been busy carving cracks. And then we're going to put a couple drain pipes sticking out. Next, I want to add some texture, like maybe there's some stuff growing on this concrete at the bottom. And I'm just going to use white Elmer's glue and some baking soda, and I know somewhere I have some salt. So I'll just combine the two and brush on some Elmer's glue, and then sprinkle the baking soda and salt on it. So again, this is a combination of baking soda and salt, and it's about 50-50 in here. This is just going to give it some texture at the bottom. I had some tan paint, iced coffee on my brush, so my glue's kind of brown. Alright, let's paint our sidewalks. And we're going to start with a base coat of Cocoon. Okay, now we're going to paint our sidewalls. And I'm using a gray that I had mixed at Home Depot. And I believe I had them match it to slate gray. It's pretty close. Okay, these are dry, and I'm just taking the Cocoon color again and brushing on some of the squares. Now we'll work on the side walls. And the first thing we're going to do is take Cocoon and sort of fade it down. Okay, now we're going to darken the bottom, and I just started with a shader, dark green, added some water. Gotta make sure they line up. Alright, we'll add a little more. Okay, now we'll let this dry, and then we'll just keep darkening it until we get to the very bottom. Now we're going to do some dry brushing with sand gray. Okay, now let's take our knife again and go over our cracks. Now we're using some pigments, and we're using Winter Soil. Now around where our drain pipes go, we can add some rust too. We'll take some medium rust. I'm actually going to use a smaller brush. Now let's go back to our sidewalks. And again, we're going to use winter soil. I should probably get a little scrap of paper. Now you'll notice I'm just doing the bigger holes. We'll change color of the pigment and do some of the cracks. Now let's use City Dark Dust. Now what the heck, we'll use Farm Dark Earth too. I use it in almost every episode, so I don't want to break tradition. Now this is really dark, so we'll just do a little bit here and there. Okay, so I took these over to the layout and set them where they're going to go, and I just think they need some more dirt. So I'm just kind of dirtying them up. I'm streaking some neutral gray and bittersweet chocolate. I just finished the neutral gray, and now I'm making a mix of bittersweet chocolate. So you can see I'm just letting it run down. And then brushing it up. Okay, I think that's better. Well, this is what it looks like so far. I still have a little bit of dry brushing to do, and I'll probably take some pigments and add some dirt to it. All of this has to be glued in place with liquid nails. Now, there's a decorative cap on top here. I'm going to continue that, and I'll make it out of wood. And then I have to put a cap along the edge. And then I'm going to make concrete stairs that go up. And I believe on the side of the staircase, it's going to be red brick. Same down here. So it'll start going up the steps right here, and then to a platform, and the whole side of it will be red brick. And then we got to cap the top over here. I still have to paint this to look like concrete. I'll cover the front of this with a thin layer of styrofoam and paint it. Same on this side. So I've got my steps painted, and now we'll just quick put some weathering on them. Now let's cover these with brick, and this is a brick pattern that I made on a previous episode. Now we'll make one for the other side. All right, now let's dirty up our walls a little bit. And I'm using City Dark Dust. Let's go a little darker. All right, this is so exciting. We're getting so much work done on the layout. You know, the great thing about building your benchwork out of 2x4s and plywood is that you can get up on top of it and it'll support your weight. All right, next we have to get styrofoam cut and put in all in the back area there. And you know, I showed gluing in sort of this shelf area over here, and the front of that will all get covered in rock castings. Now, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, that is 7 inches high. So my wood trestles that were all right here are all 2 inches too tall. So they all need to be cut down so that the track anyways, I need the track to be 7 inches from the top of the rail down to the styrofoam here. So we need to do that, and then I don't want to get ahead of myself, but we need to then build another shelf that goes in that corner and do the same thing with it. That one, the top of it, I think, part of it anyways, the part that doesn't have the track on it, is going to have to be removable so that I can work on it over at the bench, then carry it and set it in place. But we'll deal with that in a later video. So, but next we're going to get all that styrofoam cut and glued in place. Now, as much as I love this finished wall, a bunch of it gets covered up. Now, we don't want those right up against the wall. Now, I may cut this rope right here and have a little bridge that goes over to this level. And we still got to put a concrete cap on top of this here, and then another one down here. We've got our pipes to put in, and then I'm also going to put in some pilings in front of this wall. I haven't decided what to do with the wall behind this. I could do the stone, or I could just do the concrete. I'm kind of leaning towards just doing concrete since so much of it gets covered up. And it'll just add a little variety. And then we have concrete here, concrete. This might get stone put in here. I was considering having these here and then having a large drain pipe coming out of both. That may change, I don't know. Still waiting for this to dry. It's kind of wet. There's so much to do. we have to continue our road. It goes behind this, but goes up at a slant. So that road goes up and continues all the way up to where that yellow truck is. So then we have a large retaining wall right here. And that street will come around right there. And the road will come across the tracks here. Our sidewalk will continue. The sidewalk will run behind these, and then there'll be stairs going down so that there's access to all these stores and restaurants. All right, well, the styrofoam is all glued in place. Now, if you're wondering what this is, it's actually going to be a road. So there'll be buildings that go across the back, so it goes sort of under those, and then in the center we'll have a bridge for a double track, and then either on this side of it or this side of it we'll have another bridge for cars. So that road starts low, slowly goes uphill up to about this level right here, out onto a big concrete slab. Let me place the structures where they're going to go here, and maybe you'll get a better understanding of that concrete level. So that road will come up and level with this concrete right here. So this will all be concrete in here. You can see it'll be level to that. And it'll go all the way to the edge. I'll make it look like it goes off onto up here. Maybe have it look like maybe cars can go out and get onto a car ferry. Now we're also going to have another bridge over here. We have two tracks right here, and they'll go right through there. So there needs to be a bridge right there just to cover this area for the tracks to go over it. And then that double track goes along there and over a bridge right there. All right, now let's get our buildings put down here so that we can take some measurements. We need to cut a big square of foam that sits here, and then we need the road that goes all the way back. And this should fit right in there. Yes, perfect. Okay. Yeah, we'll take the measurements for the big chunk of concrete that sits here, and it's going to go all the way to the edge. And I'll probably paint the front edge of it black. Well, as you can see, the big concrete block is in there. Again, we'll get that painted to match these two, and then the front of it will get painted black. Now, I was going to have the road go down slightly so that running through here it would be lower, but I don't think I need to do that because Nothing taller than that would be on that road. And I would say I have an inch clearance. Now there'd have to be some support beams running underneath there, but I don't think I need to go any lower than this. So I can cut this and fill this in. Hopefully that makes sense. I was just worried about the clearance. We're going to have two bridges, a double track bridge for the trains, and then a single, it would still be a double, but for vehicles. So two bridges, and I just need to have enough clearance under those bridges on that road. So, and I think an inch is enough. I wish I could get some opinions right now, but we're not live, so I'm just gonna go ahead and make it this height, and I think we'll be good. So I made up some pilings over at the workbench. And now we're going to glue them all on. So you probably noticed I had two seams where the pieces come together, and this will hide it. Now we're going to do some dry brushing. And I'm starting with iced coffee. I'll show you up close what this looks like. This is light sand. Now I know you're sitting at home thinking to yourself, I tuned in to specifically see a diorama being built. What the heck, Jason? Well, I even said to myself, what the heck, Jason? One thing led to another. I do apologize. After I got the buildings moved and the wall painted, just like I said, one thing led to another. So again, I do apologize, and I'm sure in an upcoming episode we'll get back to that diorama. All right, well, let's get back to doing a little bit more work on this back section. Okay, so I just made a paper pattern. I had to make a pattern because I don't know if you can notice, but it gets thinner as it goes back, just to give the illusion that it's deeper than what it really is. So I just simply cut some strips of paper and taped them together and made my pattern. Now we'll take the pattern and cut it out of styrofoam. Now I'll get these all glued in place with liquid nails, and then I'll carve cracks and we'll paint it so that it looks like that. Okay, all the styrofoam is put in place. Like I said, now I have to put cracks in that and paint it. And there's going to be land. We're going to put some rocks maybe in this corner. We've got to paint all the stone. Same with that corner. I think we're going to put rocks in there. And then, like I'd mentioned, bridge goes across. And I think there's enough clearance. So again, our train goes across here, and then I'm thinking back here will be a bridge for cars to go over. All right, well, it still needs a lot of value and texture at the bottom, but this is where we're at so far. It's so exciting. Wow. We got so much accomplished in this video. You'll notice there's some light blue paint there. There was a crack because I'd painted the water before the fascia was on. So I filled the crack and painted it, and then we'll match it and pour the high gloss polyurethane over it. Now imagine being a kid standing along there watching boats come in and out, and then watching trains go across there. That would be so much fun. Now I'm still considering putting some wood across here and filling in that V section so that it's completely straight. All right, well, I'm going to end this video before it gets too long, but don't worry. I'm going to keep working and I'm going to keep filming for the next video. Thank you all so much for watching. I truly appreciate it. And until next time, stay motivated and happy modeling, everyone. Wow, does anyone want to come over and help me clean up this mess?